Kenya just launched a new visa for digital nomads, and this might be one of the easiest legal pathways to live and work on the African continent. In this video, I'll walk you through who qualifies, how much it costs, and what you need to know before applying to see if it's really worth it for you. Plus a few personal tips from my own relocation journey, and this even if it wasn't a nomad visa, but I think the visa process can be quite similar in many cases. My name is Marvin and I moved from Germany to Kenya 2 years ago. Ever since I've been exploring life, business, and what shapes really the future of the African continent. The implementation of the new nomad visa is something that is shaping the future differently and invites more and more people to figure out how life here actually is, what you can do here, how it looks like, and to make and create more synergies between different worlds. The first question that comes to mind is who qualifies. And you can qualify if you either have a remote job from a foreign company or you are self-employed by your own business that does not work with any Kenyan clients. This is simply that you don't work locally on the ground. So you can work from a computer, you can work online, you can work however you want, but you're not permitted to work locally on the ground. So you cannot support any local businesses, you cannot make any money from anything that happens here on the ground. It's just one way to, I think, protect the local economy if you're not here with the pure purpose of doing so and to keep jobs in here in Kenya, but still gives you the opportunity to live here without needing to work here on the ground. What also gives you another chance and another new way to be here and explore life and build your life out here in Kenya. So what are other requirements? The other requirements are simple things like for any other visa as well. The most important ones are that you either have the contract from your employer, that they can really see that you are working abroad for a company, or that you also get the documentations from your own company. They also want to see 3 months of bank statements that you really have a stable income, but unfortunately it's not mentioned on the official website how much income it needs to be. I was seeing somewhere that it might be around $2,000 a month or something along these lines. I was also asking my friend from the immigration office if he could help me and give me some information about it, but he didn't get back to me yet. But this is not clearly stated, and I think as long as you have a stable income, let's say of minimum $2,000 that could cover your living expenses, that you don't have to do anything locally on the ground, is I think what they are fearing of, then it might be alright for you. Then you also need a proof of accommodation, and I think this is something similar to the tourist visa, for example, because now if you wanting to stay in Kenya or you get the visa for a year or 2 years or something, you are not ready to maybe stay 2 years in Kenya right away. So I don't think that there's a need to show accommodation proof for the next 2 years or something. But at least that you have booked something, that they know that you have a location where they can pin you down for the beginning. And later on, of course, you might even move out of your Airbnb or move out of your short-term rental and then move into a long-term apartment. And even if you know that you lived here in Kenya for 2 years, then you can even get an unfurnished apartment and furnish it yourself. What's a bit more sustainable and cheaper in the long run than just staying in a short-term property. And the rest of the requirements are just some bureaucratic things. So you just need your passport, you need your passport pictures, you need a cover letter for the immigration officer, but I will link you down the site where you can find all these different requirements. But for me in this case, I think the most important ones, what they want from you is that you are either having the contract from your employer abroad or that you have the company registration of your own business in a foreign country to Kenya. I think if you have these and a minimum income that makes yourself sustain yourself here in the country, and I think here in this case of $2,000 might be a bit more in this case, but because the retirement visa, for instance, here if you want to live in Kenya and retire in Kenya, also what you need to show there is that you have a minimum income of $2,000 per month from your pension, from whatever it is, just that you have a stable income of $2,000 that you can sustain yourself in case of anything happens to you. Therefore, I don't know if it might be a higher number for the nomad visa, because now this shows that you are still working, that you're still having a business, that you're still working for a foreign company. They might want to have a bit of a bigger proof for this one. Yeah, therefore you might need a little bit more money. But as I said, there's no number given on the official website, and if I find anyone who can answer me this question, who went through this process already, I will drop it down below in the comments or in the description that you know how much it is. But so far there is no official amount of money you need to bring in every single month. Another important question is how much does it cost? So the official processing fee to apply for the visa is $200. Then you have the issuance fee of $1,000 every single year. So this means for 1 year officially you pay $1,200 for the Nomad visa. Just to give you a personal example about the immigration process and visa process here, and from the things I witnessed helping other people through this process as well, is that even if you have the official fee of $1,200, it might be that there's some facilitation fee coming to support the process. Of course you have to apply through the EFNS portal, what I will link you down below in the description. But in my case, for instance, when I applied for the investor visa, even when applying officially online, handing in all the documents, it just didn't move forward without us sending an agent or someone who can push the process through properly. I'm not sure if this is the same case for this visa, but just for your awareness that sometimes here things might take longer if you don't push or send someone who can actually help you, that needs also some kind of facilitation fee to help you and push things through, that you get the visa finally approved. What are the pros and cons now, and why should you get it or not get this visa? So first, to come to the pros, I think it's a nice way of getting to know the culture, the country and the people without just being on a tourist visa, that you can legally do your work and don't have to jump back and forth and do any kind of visa runs or whatever some people do here to stay and sustain themselves and live here in the country. Makes it easier, you don't have to register a local business, and it is hopefully a more straightforward process than just coming here on the investor visa, for instance, where you need to provide $100,000 for investment, or like opening up a company locally that involves you in more and more paperwork and everything. So it's an easier way for you to spend time here in Kenya, get to know everything without having too many ties here on the ground. Another good thing here about Kenya, why it might make sense for you to do this, is that Kenya also has a very stable and reliable internet connection here. I also have at my home here right now, I think 80 Mbps on a consistent basis, sometimes even more. And you can even upgrade it much further, so you have a quite stable and good connection and can do anything you want here. You also have, most of the time you have power, you have very few power outages, at least as long as it doesn't rain too heavily. I would say you also have a good access to creative people here. If you're coming to work here remotely from a foreign company or with your own business, it might make sense as well to get some touch points here with African professionals, Kenyan professionals in this case, and get to know the local business environment, see how they work, how they operate, and maybe you will even find some people you could employ as freelancers or as contractors for your business or for future projects in the long run that you never even thought about while not spending your time here on the ground for a while at least. And I think there are many pros. Of course, Kenya is beautiful. I've been spending here my time for the last 2 years. There's many more reasons I could name you, but I think these ones are quite the overview for you that you see if it could make sense for you or not. And now let me get to the cons. When I now think about the cons, I think it's a little bit expensive compared to other places offering similar visas like this, because now the official fee just being $1,200 plus any extra facilitation is compared to other places where you can just go, or maybe just a tourist visa, for example, where you can just come and spend $30 and spend 3 months here and even upgrade it to 6 months that you can stay longer here in the country. And other different countries here in Asia or different African countries also have much cheaper visa options than this. So it might be a lot upfront if you just want to get to know the culture and the country. Another downside for this visa is also, if you intend, at least the current standpoint, is that you don't get the chance to get permanent residency through being here by the Nomad visa, for instance. At least it's the current standpoint. It might change in the future or in the next couple of months, because it's still quite new, so we never know what can happen in the next 2 weeks or in the next 2 months, 3 months, 2 years. So it doesn't lead to permanent residency, and you get permanent residency in Kenya here if you live on an official permit for 7 years in Kenya. If you're just here to come and check out Kenya for a few months, for a year, for 2 years, it might make sense to just get the visa for you if you don't plan to stay long term here. But if you really want to plan your future here and want to have it easier in the long run, it might make sense then to also look for a different option. But for the first few touch points, it's completely alright. And again, it really depends on the intention you have coming to Kenya and spending your time on this visa, because now, as I mentioned before, you're not legally allowed to work on the ground, but also not to legally allowed to hire local employees. Maybe there's a way around it if you have like some contractors or hire them as freelancers or something, but you're not allowed to make any money in the country officially or get any clients here. Therefore, it's more or less an opportunity for you to test life out here in Kenya and see how life is here if you are working completely remotely and don't have any ties with the locals here on the ground, but still want to get to know the culture, want to make some friends, want to see how the business environment is. Depending whatever you have in your mind, it's still an option to do it like this. So it's a cleaner, easier and simpler way than many other options that are right now available, at least in staying here long term on a legal basis. So I hope this helped you a little bit to get an insight into the new visa. Said it's still quite new, things can change a lot, so therefore I also couldn't find every information out there. But maybe in the next few months I can make another updated video where we can really have the full requirements, or when I meet people and get people in my network who went through this process actually, and that this can help you to make things easier for you. And let me know down below in the comments what you think, if this is something you are interested in, or if you need any more guidance on this one. And thank you so much for watching. I see you in the next one.